Hey guys, how's it going? So I wanted to shoot a little update on this truck. The video of me painting it seemed to be pretty popular, so a bunch of people wanted to kind of see what I've done since that video. So I put some new headlights on here. I know a lot of people were telling me, you could buff out the old ones, and I could have gone that route. I've tried buffing headlights before, and I'm personally not good at it. I remember doing that on my mom's van probably 5 years ago because I watched some YouTube video, and it was better for a while, and but they eventually hazed back over. And I just this vehicle was new to me. I kind of wanted it to look good, and I didn't mind spending a little bit of extra money for brand new headlights, and I think it was worth it to me personally. Some of you professional detailers out there probably could have got the old ones to look this good, but I'm pretty sure I couldn't have. But headlights look good. The trim, I tried to do something different with the trim, and I'm not 100% happy with it, but it was better than spending, I think, $100 for new badges. They had like blue paint on the edges for some reason, the ones that I had, and inside the letters and everything. So I didn't want that to show, so what I did is I sprayed them black, and before the paint dried I wiped the face of it with mineral spirits. Just wiped the paint off before it dried to give it kind of an outline of black. And if the paint didn't spider web like this, there must have been some grease or something to keep the paint from sticking good. Anyway, it's better than it was, but they're not new badges by any means. One of the reasons I purchased this truck was how clean the interior is for its age. We've got the red interior. This is the Lariat. It's got door pockets. I'm not 100% sure that the XL or XLTs had door pockets. They may have, I might be, but I know on an old truck door pockets is kind of a luxury. But as you can see, XLT Lariat, red interior, driver's seat's not very badly worn at all. Got some fading, but no like tears. There's a little cigarette burn right here, but overall not bad. I put these Michelin floor mats in there. I had them in my parts collection for a while, just something I'd picked up at a yard sale cheap, so I went ahead and threw those in here. But the carpet underneath them's not bad at all, as you can see. This is the extended cab, so it's got the folding rear seat. So there's the backrest, and then this folds over, and then there's your seat. And as you can see, that's in really nice shape. That over there is just a piece of plastic stuck to it. That's not a tear. But I can't imagine anybody getting back here. I gotta fold it from the other side. Oh wait, no I don't. Not the easiest thing to do and undo, but there we go. Got that back flat. This truck has cruise control, which still works. Air condition works on this truck, which was probably the biggest selling point to me personally, because as y'all know, I have that 77 F-150, and that one does not have air conditioning, but otherwise it's a good truck. I even put heated seats in there, so it's real good for winter time. So this is the engine. It's a 4.9 liter automatic transmission. It's got the E40D, I believe, automatic transmission. But when I bought this truck, there was a few bugs that needed working out. It was missing a fan shroud. I put a new one on there. It had a coolant leak, and so when I bought the truck, it was low on coolant, so I knew it had a coolant leak. But I was driving it anyway, and I just kind of topped it off with coolant. I got on the highway on the on-ramp, gave it the gas, and there was white smoke behind me before I could even get onto the highway. So I pulled over, couldn't find a coolant leak. Didn't know why the white smoke was there, other than I checked my radio, there was no coolant in there. So I knew I had a coolant leak, but I couldn't find the coolant leak. Looked back behind the engine, and it shot a freeze plug out from the head, or a core plug, whatever you want to call those things. And I could see the brass plug just sitting right on the transmission when I was looking. So I was like, well crap. So I had to get it towed back here. This is all probably a week or two after I bought the truck. I got one of those rubber expanding plugs that you put in there and you tighten with a socket, and it squishes the rubber and seals up. So that's what I'm using right now. There's no way I could have driven a brass plug back in there. It's just hard to get to. But that's been holding, that's been doing good. It's been holding coolant, and it's been cooling with no issues, idling on 100-degree days, doesn't even try to get hot. So that's fixed. I had another issue where I was having hot start issues, and I found out that it was just dirty connections and the starter probably getting too hot. I went to the junkyard and pulled a piece of heat shield I found and put that on the starter. I actually replaced the starter before I realized it was just wiring issues. But so it's got a new starter on it. It's got a heat shield on the starter because, as you can see, the exhaust runs right beside that starter. And the factory heat shield that was supposed to be on the old starter was missing. But this is more robust of a heat shield anyway. The old one was like plastic or something. I also cleaned up my connections on my solenoid. Now I don't have hot start issues. Sometimes if it's really hot, it gets, you know, kind of sluggish. So I'm thinking I might need to replace that solenoid, but I haven't had a problem. It did leave me, I did have a couple situations where it would not start when it was hot, and I just had to sit there in the hot sun and wait for it to cool down before I could start it, and that was frustrating. So, but that's behind me. I got that figured out. Might need to get that solenoid replaced just as a precaution, but right now it's fine. It starts up. So let's move on. We got, another issue I was having was poor acceleration, poor power. It seemed like something was wrong and I couldn't pinpoint it. My mechanic looked at it for me, and he figured it out. We have low fuel pressure coming from the front tank, and that really, you notice it as soon as you give it some gas. It would like idle fine, like perfectly fine. It was getting enough fuel for idle, and then when you would put your foot in it and it would just bog, and then it would go higher in the RPMs and you just had like no power, and it was starving for fuel apparently. So I've just been running it off the rear tank. I imagined in order to fix the front tank, I personally would probably, if I'm going to drop the tank anyway, just replace the tank. It's a 30-year-old gas tank, and the tanks are, the new reproductions or whatever, are pretty cheap. So replacements, I would just go ahead and replace the tank, the sending unit, all of it. It seems more likely to me that the filter screen inside of the tank might be clogged up, because it's not like the pump is dying completely. It's always getting some fuel to the engine. So maybe that tank got a little rusty, got some stuff up in the filter. So I put a bed liner in this truck, hauling granite and stuff like that. I really like these drop-in plastic bed liners. I know a lot of people say the spray-in ones are better, but for what I do, the plastic drop-in, the drop-in ones are better because you have all that plastic protecting the granite from like hitting metal and chipping. And I personally haven't had a problem with like rusting underneath it, but you know, I'm in North Carolina. It's not like I'm in the salt belt or anything. So, and I just got, you know, I had to drive probably 2 hours to get this one, And then today I went to the junkyard and found this one, you know, along with a few other things I bought from the junkyard. It's not, you know, it's unfortunate it's got paint on it, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. It's a work truck. Got some new tail lights. I bought the headlights and tail lights as a kit. When I bought the truck, it had pretty new tires. I mean, the treads on them still real good. And the underside of this truck is very rust free. As you can see, stuff's really clean up under here. It seems like a lot of the suspension parts have been rebuilt. I wonder if I can kind of show you guys the twin I-beam in the front. So yeah, that suspension looks practically new. And then the bushings on the twin I-beam down here. See, all of that looks relatively new. And the truck drives good on the highway. It doesn't wander a whole lot. There's not a whole bunch of slack in the steering wheel. So I was happy about that. And no you know, frame mounted trailer hitch. Might add one in the future. We'll see about that. And another thing that's kind of bugging me is these holes that were here for the trim. I haven't been able to find another trim in their junkyard, so that's probably going to stay like that until I do. At the junkyard today, I actually saw a F-150 tailgate, and those didn't have that trim, so they didn't have the holes in it. And I was tempted to pull that one and paint it and swap them out, but I've already got my hardware adjusted so that this tailgate fits nice, and the other one in the junkyard was dented up on the edges, and I said I don't want to go through all that trouble for a dented up tailgate. So I might try to find me that trim piece. If I don't find that trim piece, somebody in the comments suggested putting some rubber grommets here and painting them white. I kind of like that idea. But let's start her up. Another thing I'm impressed about this truck is the weather stripping. It's really nice. You can go down the highway 80 miles an hour and there's no whistling. In my 77, there's all kinds of whistling happening. Somebody had already put an aftermarket head unit in here too. So she starts right up. Somebody added this oil pressure gauge, and that works. Somebody added this RPM gauge, tachometer, that works. I had to put a hood release cable in the truck when I bought it. The driver's window didn't go down up and down when I bought it, but it was just a switch. I picked one up in the junkyard. Air is nice and cool, even at idle. It does struggle a little bit if you're in a bunch of city traffic, stop and go. But when you're on the highway, that air really does get cold. But, you know, that's kind of what I expect from an old truck, is for it not to necessarily be like a, you know, my dad's 2016 F-150. It'll freeze you out of there just sitting there still. And but this is a 30-year-old truck, and it's pretty good for what it is. I paid, when I was in the I bought this from a used car dealership, so I paid $2,100 and change, I think, and that was before like your title and tax and all that. After all that, it was out the door for $2,500. And I think this truck's worth it to me. Just having a truck with air conditioning with no payments is a big deal for me. So alrighty guys, I appreciate y'all watching. So today is a beautiful day. It's Labor Day weekend, and my plan is to go work on the Galaxy a little bit. So, yeah, y'all probably can't even see that, but I want to get the brakes worked on, so that should be the next video for y'all. Alright, have a great day.